All right, what is up, guys? I'm back with another video. It is January 13th, and I am in the thick of things, training for my 100-mile ultramarathon coming March 22nd. So I just got done with a 9-mile easy run, which basically means that it is a run where I'm at a very sustainable pace, one that I could keep for a very long time. We'll just put it that way. So I went 9 miles at a 9:05 pace, and the average heart rate was about 122. So a 122 heart rate is very low for a run. So yeah, basically just at a very sustainable pace. Basically, it got me thinking to make a video on how people can manage running very long distances. We're doing cardio of any form to very extreme amounts, and also balancing their lifting. So whether that's size or strength, whatever your goal is with lifting, being able to balance the lifting aspect of it and the cardio. So for me personally, I have 3 main tips on how to balance those 3, and it probably seems very simple, like all of them. Obviously you have to do these 3 things to get better, but how to actually implement those at the same time and be able to excel in all of those at once is much harder to do. So that's what I'm going to explain today. Had to take a break on the video. So getting back to my keys for being able to lift and run. So the first one that I have, and you could argue this is the most important, I think all 3 are equally as important, but this one has a case to be the best because this one directly affects the other 2. So the first tip that I have is proper nutrition. So it sounds simple, but so many people get this wrong. So everybody sees a lot of runners that don't properly fuel, and they can get away with it because most runners are okay with being small and not having muscle mass, because honestly, that helps them run better. If you have unnecessary weight up here and in your arms, that doesn't help you at all. Even if it's all muscle, that doesn't help you. You are weighing yourself down. So most runners don't get fueling totally right because it really doesn't help them to do that. Now, if you're like me and you're trying to keep on size and also run, you have to nail the nutrition. So one of the things is that you just have to eat as many calories as you are burning. So, and everybody says that, but it is absolutely crucial that you need to get on a calculator. You need to do some type of calorie calculator online. There's 100 of them. You have to figure out how much calories you're burning, for like your daily expenditure, and then also how much you're burning on a run. So if I run 9 miles today, like I did, and I lifted before I went into my student teaching, which is what I did, I probably burned somewhere around 3,800 to 3,900 calories. So I need to be eating that much to maintain my weight for the day. Okay? Now, you can't see this exactly whenever you're on a scale because your weight's going to fluctuate, but you need to be eating as many calories as you are burning to maintain your weight. So if I'm eating less, I'm going to lose weight. Right now I'm cutting, so I'm trying to consume about 400 to 500 calories less than what I am actually burning. So right now I am consuming less, but it's not enough to where it's going to really affect my running. If you're not fueling properly, you are not going to run good, you're not going to lift good. So it's going to hurt both of those. My rule of thumb is that if I am going for a 6-mile run that day, I need to get in 600 calories before I actually go for the run. Anything after 6 miles, anything extra that I do, I need to eat at least 100 calories on that run. So if I go out and run 20 miles, I'm not just going to eat 2,000 calories right before. I'm going to eat at least 600 before I go run, and then for every mile after that, if I did an extra 14 to get 20 miles, I'd have to eat 1,400 during my run. So that's number 1, that's nutrition. My second tip is you need to run for endurance. This is one that I got wrong whenever I started because I didn't know what my goals were. I knew I wanted to run far, but I didn't know exactly how far I wanted to go. But I would always train maybe 3 or 4 miles and be absolutely cooked after because I'd try and run as hard as I could. Like when I was done, I'd run 4 miles and have nothing left in the tank. You need to make it to where if you're trying to run long distances or do any type of cardio to where you need to do something for a long period of time, you can't just run all out every single time, okay? You have to swallow your pride a little bit, run a little bit slower so that your body can get used to that, and then you can more frequently do those runs. If I go out and run a 6-minute mile or a 19.5-minute 5K, which is my personal best right now, if I go out and run that 19-minute 30-second 5K right now, I'm going to be hurting for tomorrow enough to where it's going to affect my run. If I go out and run like I did today, 9 miles at a 9-minute pace, I can go run tomorrow, and then I can go run the next day, and you see what I mean? If you go a little bit slower and work on your base, one, you're working on endurance, which is what you need to run, and two, it allows you to do more and more and more. So work out for endurance. Another thing too is that whenever you're working out and you have a lower heart rate, you're burning more fat compared to carbs and eventually your protein or your muscles if you're working out at a super intense heart rate. So if you're working out in a lower heart rate, like a zone 1 or zone 2, whenever you're like walking or jogging, you're gonna burn a lot more fat compared to muscle, because your body's gonna need a lot more carbs that are at its exposal, whatever the word would be for that. So yeah, basically train your endurance. Don't try and go all out every single time. There might be a time and place for it, maybe sometimes for a 100-mile race, not so much, especially if you're not trying to win the whole thing. Okay, that's number 2, endurance. My third and final tip for trying to maintain lifting or a body type while you are running long distances is going to be how much you are lifting. So personally, I am lifting about 5 to 6 days a week. I'd say anything 4 days a week or more is going to be helpful. I have been doing more of a high frequency, low volume training lately, which I think has helped me a lot. When I talk about this, I am solely training for hypertrophy, which means muscle gain. I'm not worried about my strength. I'm not worried about any of that. I want to gain muscle. I want to get bigger. So that's what I am training for. When it comes to lifting, you need to progressively overload, which means that you are increasing your weight, whether that's every session, every week, every month, whatever it is. The more that you lift, the harder it's going to be to keep increasing that much. But the goal is going to be increase your weight over time. Now, if you increase your weight and then you just go faster or your form looks different, that's not progressive overload. That means you're just doing the movement differently. If you have the same exact form and you're getting stronger, you are progressively overloading and you are going to gain muscle and you're going to gain strength. Okay, so make sure that you're progressively overloading. And another thing that might be a little bit debatable would be, in my opinion, I think you should prioritize your lifting over the running. And what I mean by that is that if you're going to run and lift in the same day, I'd say lift first, which means you're going to be a little bit more fatigued whenever you're running. But the way I look at it is going to be that when I run this 100-mile race, after mile 15 or 20, I'm going to be hurting. I'm going to be fatigued. So during the day, if I always train when I'm like feeling 100% great, I don't think that's a very good thing. And the fact that if you lift while you're fatigued, it's definitely going to affect your gains. So I would say train first. Like me, I'm going to train for the next 3 months for sure. I'm going to train in the mornings before I got to go in to school to student teach, and then after I do that, get me a little bit fatigued, that's just how it goes, I'm going to do my run. So that's my personal preference. Somebody else like to do it the other way, I can respect it, because to run 100 miles, you got to really prioritize running too. So I get that aspect of it too, but I think that it does help me a lot that I run on tired legs like all the time. I think when I get to race day, after 2 weeks off, or a week off, or a week of doing less, I'm going to feel great whenever I finally do run with good legs. So those are my 3 tips. That's all I got for today. I'm going to try and make a good video tomorrow about my whole day, which is what I will be doing for the next about 3 months, to where lifting in the morning, doing my student teaching throughout the day, and then about 3:30 or 4, I go on my run, and that'll be a lot of my daily activities coming up to the race. So thanks for watching. Those are my 3 tips. Again, we got nutrition, endurance, and lifting. So my 3 tips, pretty obvious, but again, to actually implement all those at the same time is not easy, and a lot of people get them wrong. I myself I'm still learning. So everybody's learning, trying to get there. But all right, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.